Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live stream of the 11th of February. I'm joined by Baginga Z, Mod Baginga Z. Difficult mod name.
Hello.
Mod Shogun, a little bit easier. I myself am Mod Porky. To my left, I've got Mod Osborne and Mod Nice Pants.
Hey.
Never gets old, right?
It really doesn't. Still getting away with.
Yeah. So today we've got, I think, a nice range of topics. So we're going to talk a little bit about Valentine's Day, what we'll be doing, and of course the quest that we released earlier today. Then we're going to move over to activity pets, give a status update on that, what are the next steps and everything else. Then we'll be moving into mining and smithing territory with the changes that we will be seeing very soon. We've got a couple of Q&A questions if we've got some time, and we'll close off with some double XP week extended stuff. So if we can get going, I've even prepared a PowerPoint presentation this time. Which
This is your TED Talk.
Yeah.
I like it.
This is my TED Talk.
Can't wait.
I thank Modshed for running up and down the stairs very quickly to get it as well. So I really appreciate that. Would you be able to bring that up, Modshed?
What would you like? Your presentation?
Yes.
Certainly, mate.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
There you go, Valentine's. Bam! We're getting straight into the slides.
In a romantic orange.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I could have done it slightly more thematic.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, we released a quest yesterday, Once Upon a Slime. It's a lovely quest about 2 slimes. If you haven't tried that yet, I would encourage you to try it out. It's a lovely, nice quest. It's written by Mod Campfire. He wrote it and did the design for it, which is quite nice. And then someone else picked up and made it. Where can you start it? You can go down to Peter in Remington, and the quickest lodestone to that is the lodestone in Port Sarim. Yes, did it right. And then you just walk to the left and you'll get there.
Skills. Keep going.
The man did his research. It's great.
This is my TED Talk, all right? So if we could move on. A lot of players have been asking, where do I need to aim?
Is it working?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, this was my TED Talk. Oh, there you go.
Give me a secret code word and you'll know.
Yeah, Jack is my PowerPoint thingy. So a lot of players were asking if we were going to send out the JMod love letters. So we'll be doing that again, of course, on Valentine's Day itself, 14th of February. We'll be going on in-game game time, which is GMT as well. So it's quite easy for us. But it's game time on 10 a.m., 13:30 and 17 o'clock on game time. Wow, that's a terrible naming of time. Anyways, we'll be in World 2 in the Lumbridge Church, where we'll be giving out the love letters. So if you haven't had them, go get them. They're part of a shadow achievement as well, or just a regular achievement?
It's a regular achievement. Yeah.
Regular achievement. So
5 points for it.
5 rune score.
5 whole points.
So yeah, come and see us. I'd say we'll be there. If we then move on, code word.
Code word didn't work. It was too obvious to him.
Too
Something more subtle.
All right.
Oh, that's back, was it? I did the back sound.
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll be moving into the activity pets territory.
Oh.
Model spawn. Are you able to give a bit of the background story on this?
Yeah, people have probably heard this ad nauseum, but if you're new to it, that we announced at RuneFest the idea of getting pets for some things that aren't skills, so not combat or bossing or the non-combat skills. We haven't done things for clue scrolls. We haven't done things for pets for RuneScore. Oh, now I'm going through the list. Areas and money making. Those are the pets that we're doing, and we're looking to put this somewhere in 2020. What we're trying to do is have more contingency updates. So we're working with an outsourced team to create this update so that we have something if a weapon diversity style situation happens. Okay. If an update needs to move, we can drop it in. Otherwise, we will if none of those kind of issues happen, then we'll just drop it into the year where it suits. But yeah, we did the poll work. We've got 4 winners that were fantastic, and now we've moved on to making sure we've got the concepts right for going to outsourcing. But of course, we can't necessarily take the concept pieces that were done by players because they don't do the full kind of. Well, how does the player concept not quite do it for character modelling?
So, in terms of concept, we always do have to make slight adjustments to the player-made ones because we have certain rule sets we have to follow with the concepts and. how we implement the art as well, and like some of the technical limitations that we had, we have to take into account as well. So, so there will be some adjustments, but hopefully the players who submitted those designs will still be
we try
recognize their designs.
to keep them as similar as possible, of course, to the original ones. So,
Cool.
I hope they're gonna like it.
All right. Cacao. Yes, it's working this time. We're getting there. So this was Richie. Richie was made by Karichibi, which is the money-making pet. And we have, I'll give the word to you guys, of course.
Yeah, this is probably the funniest of the bunch. So when I saw it, I said, well, that's mine. So I wanted to work on it, and basically, if you jump to the
Cacao.
Okay, great. Yeah, I wanted to keep it funny, but also similar to the crows that we have, the magpies that we have in game, and
'Cause that's always a consideration, isn't it? That
Yeah,
whenever
of course.
we do kind of create a model,
Yeah,
you've got to
yeah.
think about, can we use it for other things?
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And yeah, they have to fit in our game in a specific way, and we need to keep in mind also about the rig needed.
Yeah.
So we had to talk a lot with the animation team about how to reach the animation that we want for the pet.
Do you know any of the other kind of birds in game that would use a similar rig?
Yeah, probably like ravens or crows.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah,
We could probably use it for some sort of like parrots eventually.
something like that,
Maybe owls.
Armadillo.
Yeah.
Cheers, Jack.
Yeah, but sometimes
Stuff like
it's
that?
too much a stretch, so we need to think about when it's too much. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We've been thinking about different categories of birds. So I was talking to the art leads, and they're like, there's a category of long neck birds that we're looking at, and I
yeah,
don't know what category this would be. And
I think this was established as being some sort of medium-sized bird,
Yeah.
so we can fit. We try to fit as many birds into each category as possible, so we can reuse
Yeah.
the rig.
But I love this one. This one's the kind of the Rees-Mogg, as I've said before, the Rees-Mogg of birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to mean nothing to anybody outside the UK, but he's fancy.
All right. Cacao.
Yeah.
There we go. We're moving on to the next one. I'll give this one to you, I believe. Not nice
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. So this one was my personal favorite. I jumped on this right away. I just really liked the serene sort of nature of it, and like how magical and sort of otherworldly it looks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it doesn't have the same sort of funny tone as the one that Mike picked, but we sort of we tend to get drawn to different sort of themes and stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
this is right up my alley, to be honest.
This is Artemis by Kitsune. Is that how it?
It was by Artemis.
it is.
Artemis was the artist.
Yeah.
I think.
I thought it was called Artemis.
Oh.
And
I'd have
by
to see.
Kitsune.
Next slide.
What's the other one? Yeah, let's go to the next slide. We'll find out hopefully. See,
Yeah.
Artemis.
Oh, it is Artemis. I got
But then
that completely
titles
wrong.
of concept art pictures are notorious going around.
I got that completely wrong.
Okay, so this is my interpretation of the player concept. I hope I did it justice. We had to make a few adjustments when it comes to like the level of detail. There were a lot of small, intricate details in the player concept that we sort of had to simplify and just kind of reduce down to so it's readable on screen.
Mhm.
And just you can get the most out of. So we try to pick and choose the most badass and most iconic pieces of what the player imagined and just try to incorporate it as good as we can.
Well, what you mentioned about like smaller details, and this might be a little bit of a stretch, right? But like we've had the Shadow Drakes, we have been very tall and large creatures with like loads of moving parts. I don't think it would have been to that extent, but it's worth taking it into account as well that it's not too in your face
too
and everything as well.
disruptive.
Yeah, too disruptive. So I think this is a very nice side to it.
But we are interested in feedback. We have sent them to the individual artists as well.
Exactly. Yes.
I didn't know if you knew that. So we may get communication back saying, wait a minute, where's the clue scroll on the tail kind of thing. But
You've already started going on what's next. That's
sorry.
good. That's fine. That's fine.
Well, I did try to incorporate the clue scroll thing on the necklace instead there, because there was this note on the player concept saying that there's like this scroll kind of flowing around, and we just didn't have the technical sort of
it caused too many problems.
capable.
So
It was causing issues, so we tried to find other ways of incorporating as much of the player concept as possible, but in different ways.
So, and this is something that I found quite interesting, which I saw in the same folder afterwards, is a side effect from doing this art and this creature as well, or something that we are able to incorporate, is if we go to the next slide, we are also starting to do some concepting on the deer in general now, right? So can you tell a bit about that, or like what the plan is with this?
Exactly. The really cool thing about this kind of project, where not only does the players get a chance to sort of incorporate their designs into the game, but we can also use this as a nice excuse to update like other animals in the game at the same time. So obviously this was a really good example of, hey, why don't we just update the deers in game potentially? It's not going to be done as part of this this update or anything like that, but like for the future we do have a nice base for a cool deer as well as part of this. So it's a nice free win.
It's a nice touch on it, yeah.
And same with Richie as well. We can do like updates to magpies and other medium-sized birds as part of this, and we're gonna get a nice new deer rig out of it. So yeah, win-win.
Cool.
I noticed someone just asked a really interesting question, which might
Yeah, go for it. What is it?
benefit from some explanation, which is, they said, I thought this was supposed to be outsourced. So I guess
Ah.
I'm
Yes.
confused about why we're doing the concept.
So the question from mention from Jack from the chat was that this project was meant to be outsourced, so why are we doing so much work in-house? I don't know if you want to...
Oh, so basically, currently we don't outsource any concept work. The outsourcing part comes from just the 3D models.
Yeah, it's almost like we wouldn't send a piece of content to be designed outsourced. You need to set a creative brief, as it were. And the creative brief for this is the concept art. And so that gives everything an outsource modeling department the ability to create it.
Yeah. And this gives us a good opportunity as well to kind of curate the designs in-house and just have a conversation with the design team and just having...
Reduces wastage.
Yeah, just it gives us a nice opportunity to just talk through it before we send anything.
This sells the vision of what we want.
Exactly.
And then they can start working with that. Thank you for finding that question, Jack. Really appreciate that. Cacao. There we go.
yeah.
There we go. We're going to move on to Mune, which was made by, I wrote this down. I've scrolled down too far. By Susie. It's actually in the bottom as well. I forgot. I'm going back to you.
Yeah. So for this one, I think it was a little bit more complicated because we wanted it to be creating with different variants, of course, like described here in this one, and we wanted to adapt this to a current model we have in game, the Salawa.
Yeah.
And so I had to think about about the proportions and how to interpret some elements of the concept here. And so if you go to the next one, so I created different variants. First, they were just 6, like initially, but then they asked me to do 2 more to fill the other environments that we have in game, like some icy environments or swamps.
Yeah, this was a conversation.
Yeah.
I think this highlights that the concept that we were given by the players was fantastic, but also determined some of the design, which is here are the 6 regions it should represent. But we have here aquatic and anachronia. And actually aquatic, if you break down the number of areas in RuneScape that are aquatic, you don't have a huge range. Mm-hmm. And the number of training areas within aquatic areas.
I'd say 2. Sunken Tutorial Island as well.
Yeah. But training on that or Elite Dungeon 3, you know, it's difficult too. So it'd be very difficult to get that. So from a design perspective, it makes less sense to want to have, say, an aquatic one. And I think Anachronia felt too specific. I liked that the others were more regional, elemental kind of thing. So we have more ice regions, we have more swamp regions. This was a delicate change to the design, and I'm hoping the originator of this is okay with that change. In all likelihood, we certainly wouldn't use aquatic, but we maybe wouldn't use Anachronia. And hopefully we've got a good diverse range.
Exactly. So at least they are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the homework. Yeah.
These are our EVs.
So yeah, and if you jump to the next one, yeah, basically it's like a mini version of a Kirin, a Chinese Kirin. It's like, yeah. So I tried to incorporate some scaly skin and some fur in the concept, and yeah, I think it looks cool.
I like I just always loved the concept art in general, but like it gives always a very good sense of skill and everything as well. So you've got the man with the shadow version of that in there, and like both of you always highlight the details, which is really nice. It really gives a nice insight into how we do those kinds of things.
It's really important for the 3D artist that's going to work on it as well, so they can see how big it's going to be in game when it comes in, so they can adjust the level of detail accordingly to our style guide, basically. So, so it's an essential part of the concept process to establish the size of it as soon as possible.
Cool. Thank you. Are there any questions in specific relations to the activity pets? Just giving you a chat with seconds. We've got people live monitoring a chat and are adding questions as well, aside from what Jack.
I think there's a few people who are assuming that because we haven't announced many other updates outside of this and archaeology and Elder God Wars Dungeon, that there's assuming this update is really big and it's taking up a lot of our time. Not in that sense. I can completely see how you would come to that. So please don't feel like this is taking the place of some other bigger thing that we could have done. This is something relatively small that we're doing largely outsourced.
Mainly to help us, allow us to work on other projects.
But we just thought it'd be really nice to kind of take you through our process. You know, some people are very, very interested how we go through all of the art steps and how we convert a play concept into this concept.
Cool. Will this be needed for Master of All?
This will plug into Master of All, right? That's how we've done it.
There's no decision on that yet.
Tell me, Shogun.
I think Master of All has points attached to it.
Right.
Which means by rules, no, we can't.
Okay.
If it doesn't have points, then we can tag it in.
Okay. We need to resolve that question. Thank you. Good question.
Good question. Yes. All right. Oh wait. Oh yeah. There you go. The question. You picked up the question as well, which I've also got in my chat questions now.
It sounds like. Do we not have the fourth pet?
The fourth pet.
Yeah,
that's the
right.
good. I've got a note on there. Yes. So. What is going on with that pet?
We are working on that. Okay. We just need to decide which kind of rig to use.
Yeah.
So we are talking with the animation team. That's it. But it's there, okay?
I think
we haven't forgotten about it.
That is also in the work.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, it's between a kind of the rig that we used for Violet, or between a rig that we use for bobbleheads, or something along those lines.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about proportions and
exactly. So we just have to establish which one works best, and then we'll show some concepts for that later on.
Yeah, the difference between Zest, the RuneScape pet, and these pets is that for these pets, the concept art has already been signed off, and we have agreed on it collectively. And for Zest, we've not yet, so we are holding that back a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And once that is finished, then we'll continue with that as well.
Sweet.
Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
And talking to us about the area pets. There was something, I felt like you wanted to say something, or not?
No.
Oh, cool.
No, I've just got that kind of face.
Yeah. Cool. Then we're going to move on to mining and smithing. So yeah, you guys can run or walk away wherever you want. Yeah.
Are we done with the presentation?
For now, yes.
We are. Okay, there we go.
There you go. Woohoo! We're back again on the big screen. Oh.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, you.
No, I've just been thinking
Oh, you? Do I still have that in my pocket? I don't. Well, you're going to have to draw from your mind in that case. So we're gonna try something new today, which I was quite excited about personally. I'm hyping this up as well.
I like that you're making this revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
Like this has never been done
Okay.
before.
Never been done before on the live stream, of course.
I assume I'm coming through. Okay.
Yeah, so with the mining and smithing changes, let's give a bit of where we are with that as well. So, of course, last year in January we had the big mining and smithing update, and since then we've had feedback about the stone spirits and the mining rates and all those things. We've been trying to address that, and one of our latest changes was not this week, but the week before that, when we released a bunch of mining and smithing changes, which included a relatively big change to the way AFK mining works, and that reduces the amount of XP and ores you get now, and it's based on stamina. We've also got a couple of others in relation to smithing. I'm not going to burn my fingers on those, so I'll avoid it. But I mainly want to focus on the mining changes because we've got some feedback on the changes that we've made. And then last Friday,
Can we discuss stone spirits first? Because I feel like otherwise people will just keep asking about stone.
sure. If you want to,
Why are you
jump,
talking about something that's not stone
I
spirits?
was just saying, but if you want to jump
Yeah.
straight into stone spirits, then
I mean,
go
I
for
don't
it.
have a lot to say about stone spirits. I just wanted to make sure we discussed it first so that people knew that we'd addressed the topic.
Oh, this is going to be a meme. Heaven
So
knows.
the current situation with stone spirits is I don't think we're planning to make any more changes to the system of stone spirits, how they work. Like, we're not going to give them some new function or change what they do. I think the fundamental feedback we've got on stone spirits, which I think we agree with completely, is that getting low value items as boss drops feels bad. There's no real problem with the profitability of PVM. Like, PVM isn't ruined or nerfed or not worth doing anymore. That isn't the case at all. Your average kills for some bosses have dropped a tiny bit and they've gone up a lot on some. PVM's in an okay state. We agree with the feedback that getting a low value drop feels bad. The fix to that is to take that drop off the drop table and either replace it with something else or sort something else out with that. That's just work that we need to evaluate and decide whether to do. Because, like, that's the thing is, like, if PVM's in a bad state, which it isn't, that would be quite a high priority thing. This drop kind of feels bad. There are loads of drops in the game that feel bad. It's not. I mean, stop me if you disagree, but it doesn't like it. It seems like the kind of thing that Ninja could look at, but I don't want to prioritize it for them because it's like, it's not necessarily a high-profile fix. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's where that is for me. Is like, I don't think it's a mining and smithing problem. I think it's if we want to get rid of some low-value drops on drop tables to make PVM feel better. You know,
Is that a boss
that's
per
where
boss?
exactly,
basis?
yeah, on a per boss.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
does not only include stone spirits. That could
oh,
be
well, I
any,
don't
yeah,
wanna
could be anything else on
I don't want
boss
to speak on.
tables. Yeah.
Presumably, it would be Timbo who would be looking at
Yeah.
boss
Yeah.
drop tables. I don't want to speak on behalf of Timbo, but that's where I would say
Yeah.
it is.
Cool.
The recent changes weren't supposed to fix. The hope of the recent changes, and it's still much too early to see whether it's going to be fixed, is that in general, with less ore coming into the game, the value of ore should gradually rise, and therefore the value of stone spirits should gradually rise. That it will never get to the point where adamant stone spirits are so valuable that they make the boss worth killing for the 40 adamant stone spirits or whatever that they drop. That's never going to happen based on anything. Like, we could make adamant stone spirits so incredibly powerful that they become worth hundreds of thousands of gold. We shouldn't do that. That doesn't make any sense. They're a low-level item. They shouldn't have high-level values. So in that regard, if we want to improve the drop tables, we need to just fix
Yeah,
the drop tables.
I think the only addition I'd make is that Ninja should always be factoring in what players are talking about. I know it's not necessarily, a huge weighting should be on what the game needs, but I think that also we should be listening, and if people are talking about it,
absolutely. Yeah.
so that will add an additional weighting, and we'll talk about the Ninja backlog, or talk about that in Ninja backlog meeting.
I think in terms of things that people are consistently complaining about, I think that's got to be pretty high up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly.
So I
I
would
mean,
certainly
topic
argue
of the
in
moment.
favour of changes.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just don't want to speak on behalf of anyone else's
No,
priorities.
that's fair enough.
All right. Shall we then dig into
Yeah.
what I've been trying to hype as well? So, with all the new curves around our stamina, we thought, what is the best way to show you guys what it is? So we decided to go for a live drawing session on the
This
whiteboard.
isn't the best way of doing it. I like the way you said, what is the best way? I thought about the best way, and this is what we came up with.
Don't floor me here.
Do you have a pen?
Yes, look at that. Like, I've prepared everything for you on the table there. They are there.
Oh,
Our glamorous assistant.
Do you know
will
what we
pass it
don't have? A way of getting my microphone over there.
We'll give you a
Be very
microphone.
delicate.
We'll figure it
We're
out.
going to make some changes.
Turn this thing off.
think we can make this happen.
Keep it on,
keep it on, keep it on.
my God.
I thought of this ahead of time.
Ta-da!
See, like,
Look at the sheer length.
I'm gonna spin in circles.
see, we've gone our preparations for this.
Am I still coming through?
Yes, we're gonna adjust the camera, and you can give us a lecture on.
This is like open university stuff.
I didn't have time.
Zero the studio nobody's seen.
Yeah, nobody can see it yet. Come on, let's go. I already want to see it. Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah.
Look at the lighting.
Oh, it's doing wonders for your forehead.
That's magical. Wow. Shall I maybe push the
Yes.
It's seamless.
There you go.
Right.
This is good.
Basically the new Rachel Riley.
Oh, we get a little reflection of you as well.
Okay, here we
yeah.
go.
Double jack.
So, can you? We're gonna have fun with this. Can you show us how it was when we initially released?
Yeah, so what I'm going to draw is like a graph of how your stamina and your performance work, right? Is that actually coming through at all?
Yes, it is. It is perfectly fine.
Surprisingly,
I'll make
it's
that line.
working.
I'll
you
make
don't
that
need
line
to
a
do
bit
This is making it better.
Amazing. Right. So this is your performance, right? And this is your stamina, right?
Oh my God, what we?
Going from this is what game design looks like,
I think going.
right? Okay. So they both go from 0 to 100, although stamina is backwards, right? So it's like a percentage how good you are at mining, right? So at 100 you're mining at full, like your mining skill plus your pick is having full contribution, and at 0% it's doing nothing. And then your stamina is going from 100% to 0. So that's, if your stamina is like 250, it takes it as a percentage and judges your performance that way. So half of 250, 125 is 50%. So the way it worked when we originally launched the rework was if you were at 100 stamina, you had 100% performance. As soon as you dropped to 99% stamina, your performance dropped to 90%. And then it stayed at 90% all the way to 0 or to 1 stamina, where it dropped again to 80%. So your final rating was 80%. So if you were completely AFK and had 0 stamina, you had 80% performance. Then when we changed it in the fix 2 weeks ago, is it 2 weeks ago now? What we changed it to, so exact same axis on the graph, we changed it so it just did that. And it capped out 20% at 0 stamina. And the problem that created was that because this is your percentage of stamina, how big your stamina bar is made a huge difference to how far down you got here before, say, clicking on a opportunity or getting an ore and proccing the Perfect Plus potion.
So quick question: what are some things that could affect your stamina to go above 100?
So your stamina is 100 plus. It's not exactly your mining level, but it's roughly your mining level. You get plus 10 every 10 levels.
Okay.
So it's ish your mining level. And then plus your agility. And that was actually a big problem for free-to-play players because their agility is capped at 5. So agility players had free-to-play players had a significantly lower agility cap, stamina cap than members. So basically, if your stamina is dropping down, then your performance drops. And then somewhere around here on the graph, you either click a Rocktunity or you get an ore in your Perfect Plus procs, and you go back up to 100 stamina. And that meant that your average performance was coming out somewhere between sort of 60 to 75% performance, which compared to before, you were at 80%. So what we changed it to in the most recent bit...
getting shot.
Can we get that one?
Oh,
This is
lower
more
the camera
analog
slightly.
than you.
Oh yeah.
Right. So what we changed it to was very simply back to the similar one. So 100%, then it drops down to 90%, then it just drops all the way down to 20%. So it's exactly the same as the first graph, except with the 20% cap at the bottom. And that just avoids this whole problem of it depends on your stamina, it depends on your agility level, how well you perform. The drawback of this, and the reason that we did take a week to respond on this, is that actually this version does have some real benefits from a design point of view, though not from a player point of view, which is why we ultimately did change it. So what's really nice about this system is that more stamina, regardless of, unless you're playing full 4-ticking, more stamina means your performance goes up. Whereas in this system, assuming that you refill your stamina within about a minute, the size of your stamina bar doesn't matter, which means that buffs to your stamina don't really do much, which is a shame. But ultimately, we decided that this was too player hostile. something that's a good abstract design on paper because it means that there are more rewards available isn't necessarily worth it if it just nerfs everybody. I don't think it's not really fair. The reason that we're drawing up all these graphs is because I can't actually get past this sofa. Is there were some other ideas I saw players have suggested. Should I just push the board?
I can move the camera.
I'm worried about demolishing something.
Do you need help?
Right.
I think we should do this more often. I'm actually enjoying this.
We've got budget for this.
There were a bunch of. This is basically what a design meeting is. This is a real-time design meeting, including this awful diagram. Right. There are other pitches that players suggested or that devs suggested that I wanted to just show a few and explain why we didn't go with them. So one of the obvious suggestions that people made is, well, why not just make the graph do that? And then the performance impact is significantly less. Like assuming that you refill your stamina around here, you haven't lost very much efficiency and it works out quite well. And in theory, there's nothing really wrong with that model, but the problem is it's quite complicated to understand. There's a quadratic relationship between your stamina and your performance, and it doesn't really gain anything over this. And it still has the free-to-play problem where free-to-play players are likely to refresh somewhere around here because their stamina is so low due to the lack of agility. So free-to-play players are still getting a huge nerf, and it was never intended to be a huge nerf to free-to-play players. So ultimately, this one doesn't really fix the problem. And then similarly, like, we can have one that does that. So you keep performance, and then it suddenly drops off in a linear performance. Linear drop. This one's easier to understand, but it's still fairly complicated, and it still has the same problems as here, where assuming you refill around here, well, it's no different to that graph, and assuming that you're free to play and you refill around here, well, that's about as bad as that one. So it hasn't really done anything to fix the problem. And I can draw 100 different shapes of graph, but they all essentially have the same problem, that they're nerfing the wrong person. And
Yeah.
the one thing that this one, so what this does do, the reason this one is so harsh is because every time we buff it, there is a slight performance increase to people who are playing full AFK. And the people who, what we're trying to do here is nerf full AFK. And so this did that very effectively. This does it a bit less effectively. But ultimately, we always have to decide like a compromise between, you know, we're trying to nerf something. Any buff to active is also a buff to AFK here, but we just have to find the right compromise. And I think we've settled on this being where we want to be. This is too harsh, and these are similarly harsh.
Sweet.
So
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
This is a TED Talk in a TED Talk then. I like it. No, but we really want to get the properly
you
AFK miners, right?
Sorry. Keep going. You zoomed out to see the sellotape on the board.
Don't show them that. Oh, I love this.
Proper design, yeah.
No, but like we wanted to do mainly nerf it for people that are really AFK. So they log in, they click in, and they kind of stop doing something.
People who are running 16 accounts.
Or that
all
as
of
well.
Them are farming AFK and they're just twiddling the camera every 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So before, if you're like just doing your opportunities, you should see a pretty decent improvement.
I think part of the reason we went so sort of permissive on AFK in the first place was kind of as an experiment. I think we haven't had a situation where there were valuable things you could AFK for a while, and we kind of wanted to see how players would respond to it. And some people say, well, obviously they're just going to AFK and farm it on multiple accounts, and maybe so, but I think it was worth that experiment to find out, and we wouldn't probably do the same thing in future.
Death Star Takos says it's all about the balance, and I think that's a great phrase for this.
Yeah. Part of the reason for showing this is just also so that we can demonstrate that this is the kind of thing we talk through. This is why it takes several days to respond on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It's because we are talking through the different options, working them out, discussing them as a group. This was a skilling council thing primarily. There's a skilling council, by the way.
Cool.
Not as Rockstar as the combat council.
Waffle Cotters asks, when are we getting this?
I don't know. It's been implemented, but it needs QAing. A fix like this is much easier to code than it is to QA, because this was like, one line of code?
Yeah.
I was running around trying to find someone. I wanted permission to say that we were going to do it, which I didn't get from you. But other than that, I wanted permission to say that we were going to do it. But before that, I needed to make sure we had assigned time for development to happen. So I was running around trying to find the right producer to find the right developer, so that we could find time to implement it. And when the producer eventually went to Shogun and said, do you have time to implement it? You said, oh, Sova's already implemented it. So literally it was quicker to implement than to find someone to implement it, because it's just one line of code. But QAing it changes the whole mining skill.
So we need to do a lot of testing.
So it needs a lot of testing by comparison. So this kind of thing always gets held up by QA because we could ship this and it could break the whole game. I mean, it's very unlikely to break the whole game, but good QA policy is that we check anyway. So yes, it's with QA, and I don't know how long that will
Cool.
take.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for the TED talk. You can join us back on the couch if you wish.
Some scumbag said that the players can QA it for you.
I'm not even going to say anything.
Sorry, yeah, I heard that.
Please let us know what you think of us using a whiteboard as well. I'm curious. I'd like to bring this back more often.
Yeah, we need to name it
If it takes off, we'll get one with that tape on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
and a light on it.
Maybe we can increase
You
the
can
budget.
announce things by flipping.
Yeah.
That'd be
You should have
amazing.
written something nice on the back and then just
Yeah,
flipped it
flipped it
halfway through.
I do seem to like the whiteboard.
See?
Okay.
I'm
doubted you.
I'm writing it down.
Do you remember the scale guy on the concept art live stream?
Yeah.
Neil's scale guy.
Yeah.
Right. We need to get him on the whiteboard. The whiteboard can be the representation of scale guy.
Oh, yes, we can do that potentially.
Yeah, scale man. That was it.
See? All right. We're going to move on to a couple of questions that we've collected. I think this is about 2 weeks ago. This is kind of from when we asked questions for a general Q&A. We did not get around to all of these questions. And then I asked similar questions on Reddit as well, and we had a conversation about that.
I've just, by the way, sorry.
Oh, Shed is interrupting.
Yeah, we just realised that this is the desktop on that machine.
Oh, wow!
Wow, this is good. I like it.
So there you go.
Plumb the depths to find that one.
Yes. So we're going to continue with a couple of these questions from that list from 2 weeks ago. There are also a couple of questions that we don't have, like, that are more appropriate when we have Warden on the couch or Mike. So we'll bank those questions for them, and we'll bring them up when they're back on the couch. So the questions there are not that many that I've got from here this time. And thank you for joining as well for that case, Mod Shogun. You've been here for a while, but the questions are mainly in relation to Warren's Retreat, which we did quite a few changes to this week as well. Quite a few quality of life changes. Now we're speaking about Warren's Retreat. I've got one question about it as well. Is we changed the camera angle to always face north when you use the teleport into it. A lot of people don't seem to like that. There are also people that seem to like it. My question is there something in particular that is making it really annoying? Is it how the game responds with it or not? Because from our side, it is like everything is in the direction of the camera. Everything is north facing. So why would you want to have the camera look in a different angle?
I mean, mention it in the chat or mention it on the TRTW. We'd really like to know, because we often get Ninja requests or feedback requests to force the camera.
Yes.
That they constantly have to swing it round to see whatever's pertinent in the area. So we're trying to find the right guidelines for this. Like, when do we wrestle control or when don't we? And it's become really hard. The answer will probably be the community wants two different things and they're against each other. But we'd like to get some idea of
Toggles.
There is
It's a magical word.
Yeah.
Toggles.
it solves everything, doesn't it? Yeah.
No, does not. Don't think it does, Dave.
No, I said with a degree of
See,
sarcasm.
toggles. See?
See, they're all toggles. All right, well, we'll leave that with all of you, so please let us know what you think of that. So the first question in relation to War's Retreat as well. Can the game message for hitting 1,000 marks of war within an hour be unfiltered?
Like, it's easily doable, yes. We need to make sure that it doesn't spam you completely, though, when it happens. But making it unfiltered is possible, yeah.
It is possible, but there is, on the other side, it can be indeed annoying and spamming. So
Yes.
we're gonna chat about it. Cool. Another one, which is in relation to potion decanting, is previously we've stated, or flask decanting, my fault. We stated that we didn't want to add a flask decanter to the max guild because that would devalue what you can do in Uglok. We've changed that.
You're looking at me, yeah.
Well, I'm just. Do we have to look at Zavo? Okay. And now we've changed that. Why have we changed the stance with the release of PVM Hub? And for the record, we've also retroactively added it now to the Max Guild and everything
I think,
else.
yeah, that's the important thing. That it's been applied everywhere. We did it as a quality of life fix at the same time as War's Retreat. I think it's important that Just because we said something 3 years ago, we don't necessarily have to. Oh, go on. What are you pointing at? Is there an answer?
There is an answer.
Well, why am I talking?
Well,
you read it. The default doesn't have to be me talking.
I was under the impression that you and Mod Shogun had figured out who was going to answer this specific question. With the answer that Mod Shogun, you had it 2 days early, that Mod Shogun made. Okay, then I'll read it out. I've been asked to specifically write what is written here. So Mod Shogun wrote the following for us. To be honest, the bigger issue may have been if we gave access to this feature without the quest as a first resort. So we locked some of the flask options on war. And the else in priv behind the quest check for that. I'm not getting it. You read this and you make something into it.
Basically, to decant flask, you need to do the first resort quest.
Yes.
And it's everywhere now. So it's not only on war and Uglog. You can do it everywhere. That's a quality of life fix.
So
we didn't only want you to have it only on war, since that would be unfair for everyone else.
So you still have to do the quest.
Yes.
And where you could previously only do it in Uglog after the quest, we've now just everywhere. So it's a bit of a quality of life, but there's still the requirement there.
Yes.
Cool.
And obviously PVM Hub is created to be a convenience location for high-end PVMers, and that's part of it. That's all part of the routine. Some players decanting is part of the routine.
I'm glad we got there in the end.
Well, I mean, who knows what the answer is? Somebody needs to just shove a hand up my back and just work them out.
I'm at a loss for words. The amount of things you said today, Dave. All right. Are there plans to give Guido's bonfire in a bottle a new use now that War's Retreat's bonfire has a similar function?
There are no current plans to do anything with the potion.
Yeah,
correct.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, right. you went ahead. I was okay. This is so good. On a similar note, is there a chance that players could build an armor repair stand in War's Retreat?
There are no current plans for it, since we already have whetstones that solves that problem with the invention. So
we're going to keep it there.
Yeah.
Cool. This one is actually one for me, so you guys can just smile and everything, and I'll just go on a monologue again. In the previous stream, we mentioned that there isn't a fix in the works for the forum pictures that are not displaying. So one of the follow-up questions was from players like, does that mean we're going to sunset the forums? No, there are no current plans whatsoever to sunset the forums. In all fairness, I've been updating quite a few pages on the forums lately to make them up to date and everything else. One of the other community managers is very keen to start doing things with the forums as well. So I'm going to say it cautiously, of course, as in like to not create too high expectations, but we are looking at what we can do as a CM team with the forums to utilize them more and make them more of a place where we can have more contact with all of you. So I've got that on that note. Let me check if there are any big questions from the chat. Okay, so this is in relation to what we had as part of the PVM Hub. Initially, we were planning on doing something with achievements, right? The achievement garden.
Right, yes.
Can you tell us something about that, where that is in this?
Yeah, that was part of when it was in the Epic Jam or Game Jam, whatever you want to call it. We showcased the achievement garden. What came out the back of that was that there was so much that needed to be done. You could probably tell it from watching it. The pedestals were big. There were lots of them. It made it look very cluttered. The achievement garden wasn't really working from an aesthetic perspective, but to make that and improve that would have been a large amount of time. So then you start getting into the question from a reduction point of view. Do you spend the time doing that, or do you get PVM Hub out before archaeology? You know, that kind of thing. And do you spend resources that could have been spent on archaeology? You start balancing all these kind of things up. And we just came to the decision that actually the core of what people want is the convenience hub and portals to bossing. And we went to nail that rather than doing the achievement garden as well. But there's no, it could happen in the future, absolutely.
Cool.
We could do it. But I think for so many people, they want this out before archaeology hits.
This is a site, I think you'll be able to give an answer to this question. We moved a lot to the PVM Hub, the Max Guild. People felt that was less useful right now as a result.
Yeah.
So we've started doing
Moving
some
it to the Grand
designs.
Exchange.
Yeah. Of course, we moved to the Grand Exchange. And then we started working on some Max Guild improvements, kind of things on the side. It was to investigate design. What is the status?
Yeah,
on
that's
that?
it got bumped down one space on Raven's priority list.
Okay.
He's doing some things to excite people in the lead up to archaeology.
Okay.
But it is still there as a job we're going to do. I think he put out a tweet for people to submit ways that we could bump delicately Max Guild's functionality. I think it is that delicate. I don't know what it will be, an invention workbench or something similar. We can talk it over.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Those are the questions I've got here right now. Once more, we had a bunch of questions. We still want to answer those, but we will answer those when we've got the right people on the couch.
Yep.
Then we'll move over to a bit of double XP, and then we're gonna call it a day for today. So, are you able to bring the PowerPoint back up, Moldshed?
Oh, that's out of left field.
Testing your skills.
We're getting
I
there.
had to change it to bring you Scoutman, so...
Oh, it's all right.
Well,
It's
that
all
was
right.
worth it, so that's fine.
Phil.
A lot of love for
Ripidemon
Araxxor
pet.
Quest. in the
Araxxor
chat.
Quest.
Araxxor.
Araxxor
Oh,
Quest,
yeah.
not in development though.
No, it's not in development though. I will. I'll put the script into Discord. I'll send it around for everyone. Oh,
Don't do
I think
that.
it's, no. Oh, I love it.
Then we can't make it.
There we go.
I want to make it.
Seamless transition.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'll
Cool. So this is it is double XP weekend coming up, and with that we have coinciding the Gameblast 2020. So previously we've always been working together with Special Effect. As a bit of a background, I should say that first. Gameblast is an initiative from Special Effect, which is a charity that helps gamers, mainly I believe with physical disabilities, to play games again, whether that is through eye sensors, special pads, whatever, they're enabling them to play games again. And we have supported them in many occasions. And
That's not what it said. You can't follow instructions at all.
Keep going.
yeah, I'm just distracted now. You're making my life very tough here. So this year, we are not doing a Gameblast ourselves in-house like we've done 2 years ago, but the can we go to the next slide, because that has the exact name. The United Communities of RuneScape are organizing a 48-hour stream again with many of the streamers that you know. It is a combination with old school streamers. So I just wanted to point this out, that this is running in the first weekend
Yeah.
of the double XP weekend extended. So definitely check them out. And it's really cool. You can see some of you see Wazzy on there, the RS Guy hashtag, which are like some of the
Yeah.
bigger
There's some really big
RS
names
streamers
there.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for putting these
But
on.
for everyone who's dedicating the time and is going to support that, is really appreciated. Whether it's just watching, donating, whatever you do, streaming, it's all really good and it's all going to a really good cause. So definitely check that out. We'll be shouting about it in the news post as well. That's that. On the double XP we can extend. We can just keep this up. It's fine. It's also worth iterating that we will be giving everyone 48 hours instead of 36 hours this time. And you've got until from the 21st of February, 12 game time, till the 2nd of March, 12 game time, to use that up. That's everything I've got there. That's everything for me, really.
Fab.
Thank you. Can we go back to the big screen and then we'll say goodbye? There are no questions at the bottom of the chat as well, so that's good. Thank you everyone for watching, then. Thank you for joining, Jack, Model Spawn, Shogun, and then we'll see you all next time. Tot ziens.
Oh, I didn't have a Dutch word.
Ah, you did not prepare for this.
Yeah, Ruud Hullet.
What?
Oh, don't worry.
You went for a footballer.
Ruud Hullet. I went for a footballer.
Is he dead?
Windmills.
No. Tot ziens.
Goodbye.
Is that the end?
Yeah.
That is the end.
Okay, bye.
Bye.